Hello, I'm Joni. Welcome back. This is going to be a February review of my sketchbooks and some of the materials that were new to me this month and some that I was just trying for the first time that I've maybe had. So I started with my little mini art creation journal here, sketchbook, and I only did a couple of things this month. This was the first piece. So sorry, I'm shaking the camera like crazy. I will try not to do that. I did a lot of, I used this acrylic wash and there was this periwinkle color. So I'm trying to be a lot looser. I've been very tight in my sketchbooks. And so this month was more about color experimentation and materials experimentation. So that's what I was doing with this piece. And I used this periwinkle. It's a very blue leaning pale lavender. It was a mix of acrylic gouache, I think Holbein specifically. So you'll see this show up on things that maybe it wasn't the ideal color, but I was trying to move away from ideal this month. So I did this, and then this is kind of new to me in my sketchbooks. I don't normally do this in my sketchbooks, but I'm working, I think this month I worked in 7 different sketchbooks, so I'm trying to loosen up about materials too. So what I did for these backgrounds, I have a bunch of fountain pen ink. I'm super into fountain pens as well. So this is not water resistant, but I used it in the background. When I let them dry overnight, I can come back with these other materials. This is colored pencil. I used a lot of Holbein. I used Derwent Lightfast, Luminance, and I love these Neocolor 2s. I absolutely love them. So this backwash was a combination of, I'll just show this really quick. This was my gouache palette. Gouache is still my primary medium. I did most of my work with gouache, but you'll see some acrylic pop in as well. I'm trying that. Excuse me. So I decided to try some of my Winsor & Newton inks. I've not really used these before. So I mixed a little of this vermilion in with the Viridian to get this color in the background, and then I was trying the other materials on top to see. I made a rainbow trout this month, and I want to do some more fish, so I'm playing with some colors there. And I think that's all I did for February in here. So I will just go to this. This is my Canson graduate sketchbook. Really enjoying these journals. They're taking all the materials. I used acrylics. Here's that color again. On the covers, I wanted to do some cover art. So this is all acrylic. And then what I did was I got some Liquitex matte varnish, and I used a foam brush, and I just put a coat of that over the top, and it seems to be pretty durable. I had scratched it a couple of places prior to putting the varnish on, and it hasn't been happening since. So I'm probably going to come back with another coat, but that worked out really well. I got these big scratchy brushes, and I started doing kind of a lot of looser work, and oh, it's been so much fun. And then another piece that I created was this raven, and I did an ink wash in the background and then came back over it with gouache, and I wanted some of the pink to peek through here, and then came over it with colored pencil as well. And that was it for February in that. And then I also used this art creation sketchbook, and I did this piece. This was gouache and colored pencil on watercolor paper. So when I have a page where I've done something and it bleeds through, sometimes the darker colors really bleed through onto the next page, then I'll just take a piece of art. I don't want a bunch of loose pieces laying around, so then I'll just put them in my sketchbook so I remember what I was doing in what month. So, and then I'm doing more of these backgrounds. This will be March, my starting for March. So that's that one. This is another Canson graduate. And this one I started in the back and I'm moving forward, but I'm trying now to go in and fill in just like the back covers and stuff like that. So here's that same background again. While it was drying in one, I went to another sketchbook and just put it in another sketchbook. So I always had something in play. This was the acrylic gouache. It's colored pencil, it's gouache, and then the white speckles. And I came in to try to get back some white highlights with the bleed proof white. I water it down a little bit, just a little bit, to get the white highlights. And then this piece, this is just on the pocket of the sketchbook. I'm really trying to use all the real estate in my sketchbooks. I did this piece, which you'll see, and then I tried to print out some small versions. I wanted to do something with a smaller version, and my print heads went out, my yellow and my cyan, so all I got was the magenta. And I thought, well, I'll just tape it in my book and then do a little colored pencil kind of border around it and that kind of thing. So that's all I did in February in this one. I just like bouncing around. Oh, and I also did, I used some acrylic. So acrylic, I'm not as familiar with how to get transitions or colors or that kind of thing. So I'm just experimenting again with different materials, different backgrounds, but mostly this was acrylic, and I think a bit of Neocolor on top just to kind of like get some variations in the beak and that kind of thing. Whoops, probably just bounced the... I think the only thing I did, this is my Stillman & Burns Zeta. This was, I wanted to show you. So this is that Winsor & Newton ink again, and I hope you can see on this, you can see some beautiful undertones in here. When this dries, it's water resistant. So I wanted to show you, I hope you can see the difference. This came out on this paper, on this ivory tone, and this art creation paper, deeper and duller. So nothing wrong with that. I'm perfectly happy to use it this way, but there is a big difference between the bright white paper and then paper that's made more for wet mediums. It will the paper won't just drink it in. Okay, I think that's the only thing I did in that sketchbook. I kept meaning to draw on that, I just never did. And then this is the Canson Graduate, the bigger size. And I did, here's the trout that I was talking about, and here's that background again. And, again, depending on what paper I'm using, this showed up a lot more lavender on this. This is inside the front cover. And then I used, so this is acrylic gouache, this is acrylic, I think it's heavy body acrylic, and then acrylic for here and Neocolors. One of the acrylics that I'm really using this month, I got these fluid acrylics. That's this kind of green. It's a much thinner version. And I also got some high flow goldens, which are like acrylic ink, basically, for all intents and purposes. So I'm experimenting with opacities and transparencies and that kind of thing. But I came back on top with these. These are one of my favorite art materials. These are the Neocolor 2s. They're such delicious colors. They come back on top of most anything. The only thing they don't go on top of is the oil pastels. And so I really enjoy using a combination of colored pencils and crayons to get that kind of. So I used some basic acrylic. If I'm just doing backgrounds with this, a wash on the background, I don't worry about having like the highest end artistic grade. So this was parchment. This is a heavy body. This is a thicker. But what I do is I water it down with water because I'm just using it as a wash in the background. If I'm trying to use it as a paint and I just want it thinner, sorry, the strap is down. Very, very stereotypical me. Then I will use like matte medium or something like that. So this was, I did a walkthrough on new materials that I got in February, which I was really thrilled with. This, you can see some wash in the background, a lot of Derwent pencils and things like that. I think that was it in this sketchbook for February. And then the last one is this, and I used acrylics and colored pencil I wanted to decorate the front cover. This is another art creation. I wanted to try the metallic gold. I did the owl eyes, and then this halo kind of bramble around the owl. I'm very pleased with that gold. It's really beautiful. And then this is the buffalo that I was talking about that turned out pink in the other one. So again, I did that same Sea Europa ink in the background, came over with just some gouache and colored pencil, and then came back on top of that with oil pastels, which I'm really enjoying. So that was the buffalo. And then the other piece I did. So in February, I'm doing a lot of experiments, and I went from like really natural colors to like these vivid pink backgrounds. And they're equally fun. I know, like, if I'm supposed to be marketing myself and all that, it's like pick a color palette. Not me. I'm gonna have fun. So this was an ink background, came over it with gouache, came over that with some colored pencils in the background and neocolors. There's you can see I wanted to make a textured piece, so you can see these yummy textures with the oil pastels. And then I actually came back in, and I see a lot of it is knocked off because I haven't sprayed it yet, but with a soft pastel, a soft chalk pastel, that's the kind of blue on the top. So what I'll do is, I did spray one of my other pieces. I can't remember which one it is that I did this month, but I used this, this is actually my fixative. I brought the wrong can. But there's a spray varnish, a matte varnish that I spray on top to kind of lock it in, and then I won't lose all the soft pastel. And then on one of the other ones, on this, the graduate, when I did this piece, I came back with a matte varnish with a foam brush and just put a coat over it. I'll probably come back with another coat, but I was kind of scratching it until I put this varnish on, and then it hasn't scratched since. So those were new to me this month too. I picked this up, and then I don't remember what brand these spray varnishes, but that's what I used. The spray varnish is what I used on this, and you can see it really doesn't discolor anything or anything like that. It just seals it in, because I came back with a Derwent drawing pencil, and they are softer, and so they'll smudge. And so by putting the spray varnish on, then it doesn't smudge, and it hasn't since. So, all right, thanks for coming with me on the journey this month. I look forward to seeing you every month and look forward to your comments. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.